Yo, 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 what's good, world? It's your boy Rob, Gio, Andy. Real talk, real views, episode 31. Yo, y'all, I hope everybody's having a great week. Yo, we're going to get right into it. Today, the topic is going to be about Black businesses, our experiences with them, what we can do as a community collectively to get better. We're also going to talk about when somebody Black puts another brother or sister on and they either shit on them or they actually take advantage of the opportunity. It's a lot that we're gonna be diving into. You know, I've been hard on the white people, the bad white people. It's time for me to look at the mirror too and say, okay, what in my community can we can do better? And so, Andy was rolling pretty good about some things. Andy said something that maybe not only I may struggle with, but a lot of other people struggle with. You go to a black establishment, you have one bad experience, and just because you had that one bad experience, now all of a sudden you put Black businesses, you just say, fuck all Black businesses, they're probably all trash. And that's not even fair. Versus that white establishment that's been around for a long time. They have the capital to back them up. They got the lawyers to back them up, everything to back them up. And so we need to be a little bit more patient. And I want Andy to dive into that just a little bit more. So Andy, when did you get into that realization, realizing that, yo, maybe we're not patient enough with our own community? When did that realization hit you?
Oh man, it's been a while that I've been feeling like that, and just taking a look in the mirror for myself. It's like, yo, when was the last time that I actually supported a Black business? You know, whatever it is, you know, and I think it's just a matter of going back to, you know, us having a microwave mentality. We want things fast. We want it done a certain way. Typically, how we're used to it getting it done. So when we do have the opportunity to go and support a Black business and they come up to our normal standards under par, it's like, man, I'm not gonna go there. And when we have to understand and take a step back, like, yo, they're just starting out. And even if they're not just starting out, it's a matter of understanding, like, yo, they have places that they need to improve in. And like I was telling you before, like a little bit off camera, just address the concerns that you might have to the manager. Mm-hmm. So they could tell the owners and they can make those adjustments so they could be better and they could actually rival, you know, the bigger businesses, instead of just taking that one bad experiences and just knocking them all off across the board like they're trash, you know?
Yeah, you're right, man, because I had to think about it too after everything started going down and everybody was saying, hey, we need to support our Black businesses more. I realized.
You realize that what?
Goodness.
You realize what?
Sorry, my bad.
Hey, you good, Dad, dude.
Take that off the podcast
in a couple of months.
Sarge in the room in here. Sorry about that, but I had to really look at myself after the whole George Floyd situation. Like, yo, did I ever support a Black business just like how you felt, Andy? Not really. Some of the times, I gotta be honest with you too, Andy. They don't market themselves enough. Like, if I don't
pause.
I can't be mean. I can't be telling the truth.
Pause, man. No. I'm cutting you off right there. I'm cutting you off right there. Before you even dive in and go in crazy, there's several reasons why sometimes you don't see it. Obviously, what Andy's doing, but he's not throwing money to the strippers. He's trying to throw it. They're trying to throw it to their marketing plan, to the marketing thing. They're trying, but their capital is not enough, or they're looking for funding and no one wants to fund them. Right? Mm-hmm. That's the thing. You got to think about it. So what do? They use their social medias. They use their friends and their friends of friends, mm-hmm, and market their things for them. So that's their way of marketing. Now, as far as like when you say like, let me go back. Question for the both of you guys. Your first ever Black-owned experience. How was that like?
I'm gonna be 100% transparent, bro. Like, I don't. Well, I guess the only thing I could really think of is like maybe the Jamaican food store. You know what I'm saying? Or a food restaurant. that might be the only thing I could think of. And maybe like going back to North Miami, like the local Haitian spots.
But
If I were to think about my experience, it took a while for the food to come out. But here's the thing: I'm used to fast. I was, at that time, as being a kid, used to fast food, you know, which is junk food. You know, not being a grown up now, I'm much more appreciative if it takes time for my food to be created, because I'm like, yo, that's gonna be love and care that's going into my meal. And typically, it took a while, but the food was always bomb. So I wasn't tripping too much. So I have no big concerns in regards to that. So my experience,
Rob,
Man, I'm actually really trying to think about it. Like, what?
you don't gotta think hard. You was in North Miami. There's too many black folks there. I'm just saying.
No, yeah.
You ain't gotta think hard.
I'm trying to think about over here. My bad. I'm sorry. I've been.
Oh yeah, right.
That's why
Over
I
in
thought.
Kansas, you gotta think hard over there. Yeah, you do.
What black business have I been to?
I mean, the only thing you could think about since I was over there is
I've been to one. It's called King Crab over here. It's like a seafood spot.
okay.
The food was cool. The only problem was that when it got to my table, it was cold. Not a fan of that. That was the only issue that I had with them. And it's so funny, man. When you go to some black establishments, you basically in the hood, but you inside of a business, and you got to be okay with that. You know what I mean? I ain't minded. I'm cool with it. But yeah, the food was cold. That was an issue that I had. And the lady at the desk, the receptionist, wasn't necessarily nice. Like how, you know, when you go to yeah, Andy's right. Like I'm about to do it again. Like one of those establishments. I'm trying to think like Longhorn Steak or Olive Garden. The hostess comes up to you, hey, how are you doing? You know. But in my mind, I'm just thinking like, yo, why is it so hard to do that in your own business? It's common sense. Hey, do you have somebody greeting or somebody saying hi? Like, is that hard, Joe?
I got something I want to say.
Help me out.
Go ahead, Andy. Go ahead, Andy. Go ahead.
And I love it. So, and that's the thing, like I was saying before, man, too. It's like, especially in the podcast world, this podcast here is a relatively new podcast.
Yeah.
It's going up against the big boys. It's going up against the Grant Cardones, the Gary V's, and everything like that. Same thing for these young black businesses. It's one of those things where they're going up against these other establishments that have been here from the jump. Now, the thing was, what you were saying, Robin, is what is the culture of that restaurant? You know what I'm saying? Typically, if the culture is not, are we going to agree? If the culture wasn't established by the owner, the managers, or whatever, that, all right, when people come in, we're going to greet them, we're going to treat them with the utmost respect and everything like that. Then 9 times out of 10, when it comes to the hostess, that's when you come in and you see them, they ain't going to greet you. They're like, hey, what you want? Like, funny thing is, right?
No, that's what it was like. Yeah.
Yeah, like, there's a Dunkin' Donuts that I normally go to, right? And when I get there, for that particular franchise, I guess they don't necessarily harp on hospitality. When I get to the drive-thru, they was like, what you want? I'm like, whoa, are you serious? You know what I'm saying? But I'll go to other ones in typically white neighborhoods. Hey, welcome to Dunkin'. I hope you having a good like that's just how it is. And so I think it's just one of those things where that's like a cultural thing. In which, like I said before, talk to the manager about that. You know, and like give them like I think it's our job to give them feedback. As like when I was younger, I used to get so annoyed. And by younger, I'm talking about like 19, 18, not that much many years ago. I used to get annoyed when I used to get all these surveys from like stores. I'm like, why they always ask for me to do a survey? I understand like that's huge for them now, because it's like, yo, where are we falling short? If you're unsatisfied, where are we falling short so we can improve? So it's one of those things where if we're at a black business, like, yo, we don't like this, you can't just get mad, I'm never coming back here again. No, like, let them know, like, hey, man, I see what you guys are doing. Here's where y'all could, if I may, because sometimes they might not want to hear, but if I may give you some 2 cents, I think y'all should do this. And then hopefully they improve over time. Right. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, but for me, this is what I was gonna say, and Andy hit on a few notes and a few key points. Feedback, crucial, right? When you're going into a all black business or whatever establishment that they have, you need to provide feedback for them. Why? The reason why you do that is because they need to know where are they lacking, where can they improve on, what are they already good at. You got to remember that as well, so they could continue to have more of the goodness that you love so much or that you admire so much, right? Now the thing about it is that sometimes they do not have that quote unquote culture yet. Why? Because they're an established business. They're just trying to get that business up and going, up and running, and then later on they're going to figure out the perks. But as managers and as owners and as head honchos of your business, you need to learn to establish a culture. Learning from the Miami Heat, Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra, Mickey Harrison, that culture is serious, right? It's about hard work, making sure that you're putting in the time, the quality time, body work, eating right, eating habits, work ethic. They make sure that they put that and establish that into their franchise before the team comes in. Now, where that may fall is when you're saying we have a certain culture and a certain standard that you have to reach. When you are hiring these employees, you need to set that set in stone and be serious about it. Because if you do that, then every person that comes in is going to abide by those cultures. Because once that happens and they know you're no joke, you're gone, right? But then again, this is another thing that falls in, and this is where capital comes in. Because if you're gonna have a culture as such and as a certain way, you have to pay your employees a quality amount of money for them to feel as though that culture is worth it, right? Now, if you're getting paid $7, $8, $9 an hour, you're gonna feel as though I'm doing this culture thing for what? To get paid $300, $400 every month or 2 weeks or something like that, right? You're not gonna feel as though it's worthy enough, right? Now, I'm not saying money is everything, right? But for some people, that is the reason why they're working, right? Like that is literally the reason why they're working. They're working to get that paycheck. Now, if you're not pay, if the money is not there, then they're gonna feel as though they do not need to say these certain things, or they don't need to be as friendly as possible, right? And as a manager and as an owner, you have to constantly go to your businesses and your establishments, because I've experienced several black establishments, whether it's food, barbershop, uh, clothing, electronics. Like I've dived into so many black industries and so many black establishments that there's certain ones, yeah, they got their attitude, and then you sit there and you're like, and I literally, like, the other day there was this black food, not I wouldn't say seafood, but they had seafood and I wanted shrimp or whatever. And like he was talking to me, he was like, "Hey man, how you doing? What can I get you?" And I was like, "Man, I appreciate you just saying that itself." Right? He was like, "What do you mean?" Like some of y'all don't even there's a lot of black in
They don't.
they don't say that. They don't even say, "Hey, how you doing?" Just as small as "Hey, how you doing" takes that person's experience of what you're selling to want them to come back again. Like you're not gonna be like, your whole thing is, "I want some food," right? But in your mind, all you can think about is how rude that hostess was. You're not even thinking about what they selling to you to begin with, the product itself.
That boom. And speaking of that, Jill, oh, I love how you brought that up, man. It's all about you have to create a moment with the product.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
it has to be those two have to come together. And I want to say something real quick. Me and my girl got new phones, and there was a guy at the metro that we went to. And when we first went there, we didn't get the phones when we first went there. So we just wanted to hear the plans and everything like that. And when we told him, like, he's like, "So are you guys gonna buy today?" After he gave us his whole presentation, I was like, "Man, not today. We're gonna come back. We're gonna think about it, right?" In my mind, I'm like, I'm gonna get it because he did a phenomenal job. He was like, "No worries. My name is such and such. When you come back, I'll be here. All right." I was like, "Sounds good." And it's like he said when we came back the next time and we ended up buying, he said sometimes when a salesman hear that they don't get the sale, they get cold. Like, all right, whatever, just leave. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
so be kept that good rapport. And he created the moment for us during that time. I remembered him. Went back to that same metro because I could have gone to any other metro because all that metro had that same deal. Went back to that same one and bought from him just because he created that moment. That's huge, man.
Oh, he was black, by the way?
Nah.
Oh, my bad. Hey,
So,
just making sure. You know what I mean? Just making sure.
But Andy, but regardless of the skin color, what Andy's mainly talking about is creating a moment that is everlasting to allow the customer to come back. That makes the customer want to come back. Feels like he needs to come back to that person, right? Like that's what you need to do. And a lot of these establishments sometimes do not do that. But it falls back to the owners and the head honchos of those establishments. The people that you hire, you need to do an extensive research on them, whether it's letting them understand your goals, the establishment, the culture. What are you trying to do when a customer comes in? Are you trying to greet them, crazy? But that goes without saying though. Like when you do see somebody and you're in an establishment, you need to greet them. Like it's just crazy.
Should that not be the training as well? And if it is the training, what's the average cost of training to make sure that everybody in every single establishment, well, if it's a young black business, most likely will be one establishment, but to make sure that everybody's on one accord.
Man.
You shouldn't have to pay somebody to really understand, like, to say hello, hi, how you doing? How can I help you? Like that shouldn't be I mean, that kind of goes without saying. However, the person that you got to also think about it too. The person that is training you for that job also has to embed that in that person's head as well and be like, hey, listen, my name is John and I work at this and this and this, and and he's teaching you the ropes and around everywhere and all the stuff, and he's telling you, hey, listen, when people come in, you need to greet them. You need to say, hey, how you doing? You need to do this. After you greet them and things of that nature, talk about the menus, talk about the specials, talk about some of the things they want or they don't, or some of their likes, or what do they want right now, right? Like when you go to a restaurant, that's what you get. When you go to a fast food joint, you don't get that.
No, they give you
right?
the food and you dip out. Well, Joe, I wanted to make a point really.
What?
Because I remember, I was busting. You guys hold on real quick, Joe. You could continue. I'm gonna give her back to her mom, so I could get really focused here.
That's all right, but
that was a good point. But that's an excellent point, man. I think I hear what you're saying, man. I feel like it is something that it should be common sense. I was just gonna say, like, sometimes common sense isn't that common. It's different for different people. And I kind of wanted to allude it to, like, it's kind of going back to the whole racial indifferences. Like, why is race still an issue? It's like there's just common differences between a particular race's common day to day and a black person's common day to day. So in that same fashion, going back to just being nice and just greeting people, I might not be that person that does that every single day. So now I'm at a job. I have to do that. You know what I'm saying? Even if I try, it might come off like, hey, how you doing? Welcome to McDonald's. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it comes off dead.
And like that. So it's just one of those things where I think that's where I feel like the training does come in, and I like how you brought up the whole money thing as well. In terms of like, if I feel as if I'm not getting paid enough, my energy is gonna show, and it shouldn't be like that. It really shouldn't. But
that's how it is.
Oh yeah, a lot of employees are like that. It's like, whatever. Man, I'm just here to get this little bum paycheck. And it's like, dang. But that's for the culture is important. So if your employees believe the culture, the performance will reflect the culture, not necessarily the paycheck.
Exactly, and that's where it goes down to, because a lot, like I have so where I work for the city of Tallahassee, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's a big corporation, right? But my supervisors and my managers, they're all black, right? And they have a saying in the building where they say, is it no, not appearance, dang, I can't believe I forgot it. Jesus Christ, it's not appearance, but perception is everything, right? That's the thing throughout the whole building. Perception is everything, because just because you're down one day, or you never know who's looking at you, you never know who's watching you, you never know who's doing this, who's doing that. You don't know what could possibly happen or who's looking at you. So you have to be on your P's and Q's at all times. And that's the case with some of these employees, because let's say the customer service that you have could be a big investor, right? You don't know that's an investor. You don't know if he heard about the food, or he heard about this, or he heard about that, and he's looking to invest into it, into the company. And he meets one of your employees, and your employee just,
Okay.
bombs it. Just
Okay. Right.
yeah, does something out of line.
Yo,
And
Joe,
there goes the investor. So it's like,
that's
yo,
true.
like,
You only got one chance, but I just wanted to go back to what I was saying. You know how you were saying that if you would like them to get paid more money, but I guess it just depends on what kind of job you're talking about. Because I used to work at a grocery store making $7.25 an hour, and I treated every customer like they were gold. And I remember my first day getting trained, I got a tip, and the manager was right next to me. And they told him, hey, you're not supposed to accept these tips, Robin. And I'm just like, yo, what the fuck? I'm doing a good job. The hell's wrong with you? Why can't I take it? I'm not getting paid that much over here anywhere. I might as well take
yeah.
every tip. And so I waited for her to leave to go back to that customer. It's like, hey, and then they're like, here's that $5. Sorry, couldn't get it. Thank you, man. So so I did that, man. But Joe, man, does it come down to? There's a lot that comes behind this. Just so somebody could treat, if you have a business and you treat everybody with respect, isn't there a level of that comes back down to how you grew up, parenting?
I mean, obviously, that does play a huge role in that. I think that is
Right.
very, very, very important that the parents do establish those etiquettes with your kids, because if you don't do it, then it's going to showcase to the outside of the world, and a lot of opportunities may get closed just off of
Mm-hmm.
not even the content that you're about to talk about, but just on a greeting, right?
Respect.
Like that, like if just on the greeting itself and how you approach someone, it could affect the whole outcome of a whole entire business meeting, or a layout plan, or an investment. Like things like that. Like you really gotta be like on your P's and Q's, and like my boss says, dog. Like my supervisor says, um,
Perception is reality.
perception is everything, dog. Perception is indeed everything, and I didn't want to believe it at first, but man, like, she's not lying.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know who's out there that could see the things that you're doing, and if you're doing everything correct and going by the book, and you're helping, and you're being the best customer service rep or customer service person, or whatever you could be, then people are watching you, and you could
Yeah.
move up. Like, you just got to believe in that. But that's on a whole different note. But those are one of the key things, I think, that a lot of businesses need to look into, which is their employees, their culture, the capital, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just embedding these things into their employers' heads, because if they do so, I think the business will go well beyond what they even imagine their business could possibly be.
And that's what the conversation should honestly be, because because being rich doesn't mean you have to be an asshole. Doesn't mean you have to be arrogant fuck or you're the greatest thing in the world. That's why I love Gary Vee so much, because he promotes that so much. You know, it's just being kind. And once again, like I said, come from an immigrant background. If you grew up in a Haitian household, at least ours, you know, I don't know about all the other ones. Respect is so big in that household. You learned about it by the time you're 5 or 7, you have it ingrained. Okay, when I come back home, I must greet my mom and my dad. I cannot walk past them like they're nothing. Like, nope, it ain't happening. And then at that age, you're already developing appreciation. And so every single job, like I remember you and I were talking, Joe, what was one of our strengths? We have work ethic. There's a lot of people that are just naturally lazy. They don't want to do anything. But you and me, we just like, yo, what needs to be done? It has to, we have to do it. We have to get it done. Like, we just learned it from both of our parents. They worked their asses off. And I feel like for our Black businesses, we really got to attack it. Like, when I went to a seminar and this guy was teaching us about trading stocks, you know, this Black one, it was only Black people that were in there. And he had a table of Black brand stuff, Black brand liquor, Black owned liquor, Black owned clothing, Black owned man, what else? I don't even remember, but there's just a lot of Black owned everything. All I said to him was, where the hell are the owners? I'd like to shake their hand. I'd like to add them on Facebook. I'd like to add them on Twitter. But if I can't find you and I don't know what you look like, what am I looking for? Like, you know, I'm like, the brand was so hard. Like, I love the design of the hats, the shirts, the ballin' bands, and all I could just say to myself, Andy, is where are these guys? You have to show yourself. You got a chance. If the Black community sees you, trust me, the word will be out there on the street really quick. Yo, you gotta wear these guys' clothing. Because Black people, that's how we are. Word on the street. Word on the street. The only community that says word on the street.
Bro, that's right. I think what's crazy, man, is that marketing is marketing is so important, bro. Like, that was the first time. It's huge, because it's like, if we don't know you exist, we ain't going to consider you, bro. So we have to find a way to help these Black businesses, man. Whether it's through this podcast, or that could probably be like another segment, like a Black owned business that we can highlight every week or every episode, just so it's like something. Because I feel like if they don't have the funds to market, it's like we will never know. You know, it's crazy.
Take advantage of Facebook ads, Instagram ads, all of that, because all of it's like $30. Like, and I know all of them got $30 somewhere. You might have it underneath your couch. But
You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised who got $30 or not.
Right, Joe. But capitalize. Marketing is huge. Every single time you meet someone, make it a goal to talk about whatever you're doing. Like, every time at work, people, like different people that I talk to, I let them know, I got a podcast. You know, oh, yo, Robin, how's that podcast going? Why do they know? I need them to know that I have a podcast. So whenever they're in the realm of podcasting, they look up Real Talk, Real Views, and me, you, and Andy are on there, and they know about us. They got to know about us. That's why I be on TikTok. That's why I be on, like, because if nobody knows you, nobody will buy from you. You know what I'm saying? Nobody will buy from you. That's literally how it is. You have to build a reputation. You have to build your brand, and you can't build your brand silently. You got to build that shit like violently, bro. Like, yo, everybody has to know, like, my podcast is the best podcast. I kept saying to people, I'm like, yo, my podcast is going to obliterate your podcast. We are going to dominate. I'm not even trying to compare myself. I'm not even trying to compete. I just want to dominate.
This is where it gets a little challenging, and I think a lot of people get a little misconstrued sometimes. When Black folks are trying to build their brand and saying they're, like how my brother just said, he said he wants to dominate his, you know, other podcasts and showcase that his podcast is one of the best podcasts, if not the best podcast, right? He's not trying to diminish or say anything crazy about another podcast. That's not what he's trying to do, right? And I think a lot of people take it to where, oh, he think he's better than my podcast, and then we get this whole isolation thing, right? I'm not gonna help him because he's talking about his podcast is better than no, he's not being arrogant, right? He's showing a little cockiness. He's flexing his muscles. However, it's not to show that your podcast has no quality or it has nothing worth of value. No, that's not the case. Why we both can't make it to the top together? Why we both can't reach a certain level of excellence and prestige when we get to that certain mark, right? Why we both can't make it and be in a good position with our brands and everything that we've dreamt about of using a platform to talk about certain things for other communities and not just blacks, but other things that's going on in the world. We could do it together in a successful where many viewers are listening and watching and paying attention to us. That's the whole thing. And I think with sometimes in the black community, which is crazy to say, but it's so true. And I was having this conversation with one of my coworkers, and this is sad to say, but it's true. When it comes to whites, they stick together. When it comes to Mexicans and Spanish, they stick together. But for some fucking reason, blacks don't do it.
Oh,
It's I'm gonna go get my own by any means, and if anyone's in my way, there's gonna be they gonna get out of it, right? Including your own kind, and that's not what you do, because in order to build, you need help. There's nobody in this fucking world that has not made it without help.
Exactly.
No one in this fucking world has made it without help. And if you could show me somebody that made it without help, I'll give y'all every fucking dollar I got in my damn account. Every dollar, every last penny, every drop. I'll overdraft it for you. Because that shit is not happening.
Hey, Joe.
And we need to help each other so we can make it up with each other. You gotta understand, if you help one business, you put in